Hey guys, welcome back to Geek and Seek. We just finished up Season 1 of our Commander gameplay series, Upkeep. Had a lot of fun doing that. We're already finishing up plans for Season 2. It's for sure coming. Gonna be a lot of fun, a lot more fun games, a lot more fun themes. But today we are just gonna go ahead and look over some of the stuff that happened in the first season and use it as a learning experience for ourselves. So who do I have joining me today?
Well, I'm Jason. Hi, you might know me. I've won a couple games, just, a few.
Just most of them.
The most.
Hey guys, I'm Preston. I think I did probably about the second best in the group, maybe not.
It's us right here.
Statistically,
I'm one, number two.
And I'm Tommy. I didn't do so hot this season.
The hero of zeros, you might say.
Listen,
But we're happy he's here.
They call me the anchor.
Season 2, he gonna pop off.
Might get one win in Season 2.
100% win percentage in Season 2. Let's go.
No, listen, they call me the anchor. Someone's got to anchor the bottom of the leaderboard for everyone else. So.
It keeps morale up.
Yeah, exactly.
If someone else is
Yeah, because if
taking
you
it.
lose a game, then you're just like, well, at least I'm not Tommy.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta have the guy to point to be like, well, at least I'm not this guy.
Yeah. And Steven also was in a lot of games, but apparently he's sick, so he's not here today. But we'll make fun of his statistics as well today. But yeah, we're gonna go through. We're gonna talk a little bit about win rates, what colors we played the most, our favorite themes, and use it as a learning experience to help make Season 2 even better. So, you guys ready?
Oh yeah.
Before we see who had the most wins, does anyone have a guess? This is not the same as best win percentage, just the most overall wins.
Preston.
I think Preston. Yeah.
I didn't play in as many games as Preston played in. We had very similar win percentages, so I'm going to go with Preston.
What's your guess, Preston?
Honestly, we played so many games, it kind of just all jumbled together.
That is true.
That's very true. Yeah.
Season 2 will be worse because it's longer. All right. So let's see who had the most wins. It's actually me.
Oh.
And then Jason and Preston are tied. So I had 4 wins. Jason and Preston both had 3. Steven had 2. And then Paige was only in 2 games. Sean was only in 1 game. And Tommy was in a decent amount of games. None of them had any wins.
I'm bad at the game, guys.
Does that surprise anyone? Just as overall number of wins. So again, we had 12 episodes in Season 1.
I'm going to need to review the footage to make sure that Morgan's got 4. I'm going to need to review that footage.
No, that tracks.
I thought about as a joke putting 5 wins for me because of episode 10 where you all played my decks. I was like, well, like... spiritually, I feel like a winner.
Technically.
So, but I decided not to do that. But most number of wins, no one cares. Because we all played different number of games, so no one cares about the most number of wins. We care about the best win percentage. We all are kind of on the same page on who we think that is, right? We all... Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, we know.
Yeah, it's Jason.
It was the person who wasn't in Revenge Week.
Yeah.
We knew
Jason,
that going in.
Jason tearing it up, so...
I was in 7 games? Good God.
Yeah, so here's the exact breakdown. So Jason, he won 3 of the 7 games he was in, so that's roughly a 42% win percentage, which when you think about Commander as a 4-player game, and you theoretically, on an even playing field, have a 25% chance of winning, that's pretty impressive,
Pretty
Jason.
nuts, yeah.
And then I came in second with 4 out of 11 games, 36-ish%. Preston was right behind me at 33% of games win. That's 3 out of 9 games. Steven played 11 games. I didn't realize he was in that many. The only game Steven wasn't in was Voltron Week. And he won 2 games, so that's about an 18% win percentage. And then Tommy, you were in 7 games. Paige was in 2. Sean was in 1. And none of you had any wins. What do you guys make of these numbers?
First of all, I would just like to say that I don't think I'm the best Magic player in our group. I don't. I also don't think that I'm the best deck builder in our group. I just think that whenever I look at the cards,
I'm just
in my
superior,
hand,
not the.
I just try to play as optimally as possible, and I don't even do that well a lot of the time. So don't take any of this further than it needs to go. Okay.
42% is pretty impressive, though.
That's
to give you props where props are due.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I enjoy playing Magic with my friends.
That's the right spirit. But Preston, you came in right behind me, and honestly, if I didn't win Revenge Week, you actually
Yeah,
would have
I'm not
passed me up.
surprised. I knew I was ahead of you for a long time, but
If
you
it wasn't
really
for
popped off the second half of the season. You
I
started
did.
really pulling through.
Yeah, I won the last 2 games, and then my other 2 wins, I don't remember where they were. But if I did not win Revenge Week, I think you would have ended up with.
I knew we were going to be close, but
yeah, it's very
last
very
couple
close.
games.
Yeah, Preston, I think unjustly sometimes is like, oh, we need to team up on Preston. I think unjustly that happens sometimes, but like.
Yeah.
statistically, though, you are a good Magic player. I mean, a 33%, again, is above the 25. I think anything above 25% is impressive.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if... I'm pretty sure we talked about this when we did our live stream. I think Preston's the best deck builder in the group. I don't think anybody builds...
I think that's probably true.
Personally, I just don't think anybody builds decks... Like, the first time you play a deck, it might not be perfect, but it's going to be a lot more cohesive than, like, the first time I build a deck. You know, I'll have to play it 2-3 times and then be like, okay, I need to take these cards out, take these cards out. He has the ability to just know what needs to go in it from the beginning, and then during his playthrough, like, I just need to tweak these things, and then it's perfect.
Oh, I 100% agree.
I really commend you for your ability to build decks.
Yeah, Preston usually builds a deck and then, like, barely touches it for the rest of the deck's existence, whereas I'm the same way as you, Jason, where it's like, I'll go through, like, 10 iterations of a deck before I'm like, yeah, that's good. And then he's also, like, way better at building on a budget. Like, I'm not thinking financially soundly. I'm just like, what is literally the best card to put in here?
Exactly.
And I will do it. Preston is, like, not only good at being budget conscious, but like in situations where he has to be budget conscious, like on episode 9 where we played Budget Week, he is just superior at deck building.
Well, and just the Christmas episode showed that.
Yeah.
4 brand new decks for $50 a piece that all played roughly $50 a piece that all played to the power level that they did. Like that's
still one of my favorite episodes.
Oh yeah,
it's so much fun.
I will say that is exclusively because I am hard-headed. That's it. I have just refused. I never build tier 1 decks like when I play on Arena and stuff. I always build my own decks, and I refuse to spend more than like $5 on a card in the 99.
That's fair.
That's fair, yeah.
Usually. Now,
There's
I've
always
gotten
gonna be
to a higher
exceptions to that.
budget at this point in time, but I spent years refusing to spend more than that.
You missed out, because I'm sure we've talked about this before. Preston had a lot of his collection stolen. Was it all of it, or all just...
Oh yeah, that happened before the season started. We had mentioned it in episode 1 because like he played one of the decks that was stolen from him, and he like played a doubling season. The doubling season was a proxy, and I just made a note of it. So I was like, don't make fun of him for playing that. He had it. He did, but it was stolen.
And if he had been able to pull out some of those, man...
Yeah.
It would be gas. All right, so I kept track of who had the most kills, but I don't think if I do this kind of video again for Season 2 that I'm going to do this again, because I'm going to be honest, this track's pretty much the same as your wins.
Yeah.
You will get kills outside of winning, but most of the time what I found in our games is that, like, if you win the game, you probably just killed everyone roughly at the same time.
Right.
That's how most of our games go.
It wasn't like it came down to the wire and you like stole a win. It's like, no, you had control the whole time.
Yeah, so I don't know if I care.
Yeah,
so I don't know if I care to keep track of this if we do this kind of video again for Season 2. But just so we have it, I had 10 kills. Preston and Jason both had 8. Steven had 7, which is right behind, which is crazy because he won many fewer games. Paige had 2,
close.
Tommy had 1, and Sean didn't have any. For Paige only playing 2 games, having 2 kills is pretty impressive, so applaud to her. And if we can figure out how to get her in a game or 2 next season as well. She doesn't live around here anymore, but she visits every now and then. So
we all just got to chip in, get her a plane ticket.
Yeah, there you go. So
and
subscribe. So check us out on Patreon.
Yeah, let's get Paige back.
She'll definitely be on the online.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
we do
for
stuff
sure.
on Magic
For
Online
sure.
for
by,
sure.
by the time this video comes out, our Magic Online series and or our Spell Table series are probably already started, so you'll be seeing Paige on there. All right, so we like to make fun of, if you play Turn 1 Soul Ring, gang up on them. So I kept track of, on turns 1 through 3, how many Soul Rings did we see, and did that result in the game being won? Does anyone have a guess on if a turn 1 through 3 Soul Ring actually makes that much of a difference?
You can analyze the statistics of it. You can watch every game, and you can even record like your own games in your own play group, and you can analyze those results and get whatever you can interpret. But at the end of the day, I think it really just comes down to the play group.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If the people that you're playing with are like, I don't care about a turn 1 Soul Ring, I'm gonna get all these things out way faster than they're gonna be able to utilize that Soul Ring, then maybe they don't focus on you as much. Or if you have people in your playgroup that are like, oh, he has the most mana available to him, let me go ahead and take him out. Or her. Sorry. Him or her.
Yeah, if you have 4 Tommies playing, whoever gets the most Soul Rings out early is going to win most of the time.
Probably, yeah.
But with the rest of us, probably not as big of a deal.
actually a decent way to interpret it. So it actually was a 43% chance of winning if you turn 1 through 3 Soul Ring. So I wrote down every time we saw Paige had a turn 1 Soul Ring on episode 1, she did not win. Preston had a turn 1 Soul Ring on episode 3 and did not win. I had a turn 2 Soul Ring on that same episode and did win. Jason had a turn 2 Soul Ring on episode 4 and won. Tommy had a turn 2 Soul Ring on episode 6 and didn't win. Jason, turn 1 Soul Ring on episode 7 and didn't win, and I had a turn 1 Soul Ring on episode 12 and did win. So that equates to roughly a 43% win percentage if you turn 1 through 3 Soul Ring, which is actually really funny. Both times that I turn 1 Soul Ring, I won. So I think that has more to do with me as a player. I think I am scary, and you need to team up on me if I turn 1 Soul Ring. But if anyone else does, I don't think it matters.
Do we team up on Morgan in season 2? Find out. But probably yes.
So going first, does that mean you win? In 1v1 formats, modern, standard, legacy, OG, magic.
Faster formats, absolutely. It can matter. It can.
Traditionally, but in those formats, going first does matter.
A lot.
They've done the math. It's roughly a 55% win percentage if you go first. So a little over half. So that's why the luck on who goes first really matters in pro play. In Commander, it probably is a lot less than that, right? Because you have more opponents, so you have to spread the damage more. Obviously, it's going to be lower, but what do you guys think about that percentage? Like, do you think going first is significant in Commander, or do you think it doesn't matter at all?
I think on our play group it does.
To an extent, it does. I don't think any of us play like crazy high power level, competitive level decks that are fast enough that going first can absolutely can make that big of a splash. But I think it can. Yeah. As far as numbers, I have no idea. But
well, as far as numbers, we got about a 33% win percentage if you go first. So all 3 times I went first. So episode 3, episode 8, episode 12. So I guess that means Morgan's the aggro player. But I won all of those games that I went first in. And then Preston on episode 6 won because he went first. But let's be real.
I could have gone fourth. I was winning that game.
That was
Preston was going to win that game no matter what. That was the Voltron week, so that's when he played Light Paws. So there's just no way Preston wasn't going to win that game. So again, I think this just means if Morgan goes first, team up on Morgan. I'm not suggesting that.
You're really painting a target on yourself.
I guess this makes me look a lot more of an aggro player than I feel like I am. I feel like I'm a responsive player, but
And I would agree with that. Having played Magic against you, and that's why I said I don't think that it matters in our play group, because none of us. I can't remember a single game, even before we started playing him on the channel. I can't remember a single game where anyone was like, well, he went first, so, we need to watch out for him. None of us look for that. None of us have ever cared. At least that's what I've noticed.
We probably do skew a little bit because of our power level, but yeah, I don't think, since we don't do like CDH super often or anything, I don't think it's as big as it can be with certain play groups.
Yeah, I
More
agree.
than others, but not as high as it could be.
And honestly, 33% is not that much higher than 25%, which is what you would expect it to be if it was completely fair.
Going into a 4-player game. Yeah.
So I guess the turn 1 through 3 Soul Ring makes more of a difference than whether or not you go first. And also, if you're playing white and you're playing a lot of catch-up ramp, maybe you don't want to go first anyway. So you got to keep that in mind.
So when Morgan gets a turn 1 Soul Ring and he plays first, we need to just beat him in real life.
So we are going to go over most played colors, color pairs that each player played, and overall, what does that mean for what colors they played the most or the least? So to give you guys an idea, here's Sean and Paige's page real quick. Again, Sean only played 1 game. He played a Grixis deck, and then Paige played only 2 games. She played an Esper deck and a Golgari deck. So that's how we got here. These are in alphabetical order, and my brain doesn't work. Does that mean that Jason's first?
Is it alphabetical?
Yeah, I have these in first name. I have these alphabetical by first name. So I guess Jason's probably up first.
It would be Jason first next. Yeah.
Jason, any guess on what your least played or most played color is?
I want to say my least played color is white. What
about most played?
I think my most played color is either blue or black. I would make a guess for that, just because I like both of those colors. I skew more towards black, like one of my first decks that I don't have anymore, and I might have to put it together again for next season. One of my first decks that I built was a mono black deck, and it was really, really, really fun. I would play it
so cool
all the time.
So cool.
But yeah, that would be my guess. I'd say blue or black are probably my most played, and then maybe like white or red probably the least.
All right, well, let's find out. Jason, so across your 7 games, you played black the most at 5. You played black 5 times. You played blue, green, and red perfectly even. That's 4 times. And then you played white only 3 times. And then for color pairs, I like seeing that each color pair you only played 1 time. That seems nice and balanced and even to me. I like it when we don't have a bunch of building up of the same color pair all the time. So,
and
what do you think of? What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, I'm glad that I know what my most played and least played colors are. I feel like I know myself as a Magic player well enough to understand that. So that was cool. I did not realize that I played blue, green, and red the same amount of times. I mean, I knew it was tough for me with red. I knew white was the least played color. I knew that, but it was tough for me with red because I was like, I did play red in a few decks, so I don't know. Maybe it is like the second highest or something, and I guess it was tied for that. And as far as the color pairings, I don't ever like building decks that are the same. I don't like building decks of the same colors. I don't like the decks that do the same thing. Like, I don't have 2 lands decks. I don't have 2 like graveyard decks. You get what I'm saying. It's also a way that I learn more about the game. You know, I play different decks and have to utilize different strategies. I learn how certain cards work with each other.
For sure. Do you think that these numbers will skew what you might play in Season 2, or do you think that you're just going to embrace, you'd be like, screw white?
No. And I mean, honestly, looking at the amount of times I've played, it's not like I avoid white or I never play white.
Right.
You know, it's 2 games off of my top played color. So I'm just going to mix it up and do whatever I think is going to be the most fun. You know, obviously we got a lot of cool themes coming up, so I'll have to play around that. I try to go into whenever we build a new deck for the show with what's something that I either haven't done before or am not super familiar with. So yeah, I think I'm going to, in the next season, I think I'm going to keep up with that trend of having a very diverse deck list.
So next up is me. I'll just buzz through this real quick. So my most played color was blue across my 11 games. I played it 8 times. I played green 6 times. I played white and red 5 times. And then black I played 4 times. The only repeats I have on color pairs are colorless, but that's because I brought Kozilek back for Revenge Week. And then Tamur, that was because when we did the Warhammer game, the scheduling was really weird on that, so I ended up playing the Tyranid deck, even though it wasn't my deck. So that's how that ended up happening. But I won't spend too much time on that. It's just, I will say that I am surprised that black was my least played color because it's my favorite color. I think I have 23 Commander decks. 13 of them are black, or have black in them, I should say. So the fact that black was my least played color doesn't really make sense to me. but I double checked. When I was keeping track as the season was going, and I was like, that can't be. So I went over all the episodes and I was like, oh, okay, well, whatever. So next up, alphabetical order, that puts Preston. Preston, any guesses?
For the longest time, green was for sure my most played. I don't know about the series, though. I think I've had a good spread, so I'm really not sure.
All right, so Preston, of your 9 games, you played blue 5 times, white 5 times, green and red both 4 times, and black 3 times. And then your only repeat on color pairs was mono red, and that's because you brought Krenko back for Revenge Week. Relatively even. Black, again, coming up the rear, but not that far behind. Very good, even spread. Do you think that says anything to your play style, or do you think that's kind of like what Jason and I have been saying about, like, just keeping things diverse and trying new things?
I feel morally reprehensible to myself that blue and white are my top 2. That might be my most hated color combo.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You do play both of those colors quite a bit.
And one of your wins was Budget Week, where you played an Azorius deck. So There is that. All right, so Tommy, I guess Steven's up next. We'll just go through Steven's real quick since he's not here. Steven, so across his 11 games, he played 9 times for
9
green.
out of 11.
It's not like it's the strongest color in Magic or anything.
No.
That's unfortunate.
He played black 6 times, red 5 times, blue 3 times, and white only 2.
He's scared of white. He's scared of white.
He is scared of white, and apparently kind of scared of blue too, which kind of surprises me. I mean, I don't care so much about black 6, red 5. That doesn't really faze me, but the fact that he played 11 games and only 2 of them weren't green is reprehensible, especially since one of those times was when we did the random game where he had no control over what he was going to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, still got green.
And still.
Yeah. So his repeats on color pairs were Golgari, but that's because he played that deck he got on the Christmas episode. He played Tiny Leaders version of it in the Tiny Leaders game. He brought Joda back for both the first decks and when we played 5 colors. And then green, it's because he brought his Ronos deck back for Revenge Week. All right, so Steven, I think you're not here to hear this, but you'll hear it when you watch this video later. Play green less. Play more white. White's actually cool.
Yeah.
Steven is stuck in early Commander headset.
Stop playing the best color in the game every game.
Well, hold on. It's the best color in Commander. It's not the best color in the game.
Yeah.
Well, no, in the game of Commander.
All right.
We don't play Modern on this channel. I knew that'd get Morgan.
Tommy, what about you? Do you have any guesses as to what yours is?
I want to say probably blue or green is probably my least played. I tend to not play those colors as much. And probably red or black is probably my most played. It's just weird for me to think of the decks I have. I own 4 decks, and I was looking at them. All of them, between all 4 of those decks, I have each color represented twice.
Oh, that's
Throughout each, so it's kind of like a nice even
cool.
spread.
Yeah.
That I was thinking, because I got so you know.
Well, if my memory is correct, I think you have the most accurate guess. So, Tommy, across your 7 games, you played red and white 5 times, you played black 4 times, and you played green and blue 3 times each. Color pairs, your only repeat was Mardu, and that's
Ishin.
because you brought Ishin back for Revenge Week. Yeah, you're right. Relatively even, but you were right.
Surprised I played white more than black. I feel like I usually play black more than white, which is weird.
With Ishin being kind of your go-to deck,
Yeah,
there is
that's
that
yeah.
as a factor as well. But yeah, you were right, pretty much all across the board on that. So game length for anyone who cares, I thought that this was kind of interesting. So the average game was about 1 hour and 17 minutes. Obviously, it doesn't look like it for you guys because I cut half of the game out because half of the game is Tommy and Steven staring at their hands, not knowing what to do.
Listen, listen.
Average game length is about 1 hour 17. Average turns is about 10.42 turns.
10 and a half
so
turns.
about 10 and a half turns a game, and that means that the average turn length is about 7.39 minutes, which that is pretty skewed just because, turn 1, turn 2, not a lot happens, and then later in the game, sometimes the turns can be really long. So that number doesn't mean as much, but I thought the first 2 statistics there were interesting. And then as far as shortest game, this is turns and times, was episode 6, which was when...
No surprises there.
when Preston went off in Voltron Week. There was only 7 turns.
Surprised it took 7 turns for him.
Yeah.
I can make it shorter next time.
I was going to say, I'm sure you
and
could.
It was only a 42-minute long game. And then tied for the shortest game as far as turns go was episode 3, when I won the tribal game in 7 turns in 47 minutes. And then for the longest game, time-wise, was episode 11 when I won the random 2-color deck. That was 1 hour and 48 minutes, which was 13 turns. And then just a little bit shorter in actual time, but just a couple more turns. The longest game in turns was episode 2 when Jason won the Warhammer 40k pre-con game, which was 15 turns, again in 1 hour and 42 minutes. So what do you guys think about this as far as our game length? Do you think that that's like a good amount of time? Do you think that that's a little fast? Do you think that's a little slow? Again, obviously there are these outliers, but as for an average of 1 hour 17 and 10 and a half turns, do you guys feel like that's a good healthy game length for Commander, or do you think that's a little short or a little long?
I think that's just about where it should be. Probably.
Pretty good for Commander, yeah.
I
agree.
agree.
So.
1 hour and 17 minutes per game, that's
the dream.
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
Just over an hour, and you die early, you got time to go grab drinks and come back for game 2. Yeah.
I would say it would be nice, and sometimes, obviously, you can't do this because people pop off, go crazy, I know all about it. I almost wish the turns were a little bit shorter, instead of 7.5 minutes.
Yeah, that
not 7.5,
kind of long.
And honestly, the overall reason for that is because we get in these positions where people aren't sure what to do. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is maybe people aren't thinking about their turns before it's their turn, so then they get to their turn and they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Sometimes they don't know their decks well enough, so they have to read the cards, which there were a couple of games where that was acceptable. Like, obviously, the Secret Santa episode, we didn't know what our deck was, right?
Had to take the time.
When we played your decks, we didn't...
Yeah, so there
those,
are a couple games where that's acceptable, but I think a lot of it just comes down to people just not being ready for their turn. And then there are a couple other times where it's a lot of discussion of being like, okay, I need to blow something up. What do I hit? What's the scariest thing on the board? And then there's discussions around the table, or like I'm about to kill this person. They're like, wait, hang on, let's negotiate. So there is some of that involved as well.
We play a lot of politics with.
We do, but
so that helps.
The number one saving grace of Commander is the politicking. Like that's what separates it from the other
aspect.
Oh yeah, no, it's great.
That's
I'm not
what
saying it's a
separates
bad thing. I'm just saying we do it a lot, so that's why turns can get long.
Yeah, it is less of that though. It is more of people should. If there's one thing we learned from this slide going into season 2 is that I hope that people are more prepared for their turns. I hope that people are. Most of it isn't this, but knowing your deck better, knowing your interactions, your possibilities, what the individual cards do, knowing that better, but then also thinking about your turn before it's your turn so that when it's your turn, it's like I either do this or I do that, and just going with it. I think overall, the game's being just over an hour in about 10 turns, that seems pretty cool to me. All right, so I think this is the last screen. So this is kind of just going to be an open discussion for this last little bit. But here are some prompts. What are your favorite games? What were your favorite themes? Are there themes you want to see again? We've already kind of discussed that because we've already, at the time of recording this, we've almost completely decided what season 2 is going to be. And then are there any themes you for sure don't want to see again? Let's go ahead and just open that up for discussion. Take that wherever you want to take that.
Well, my favorite game was probably the Christmas episode.
That was so fun.
And it's not because like I won that game. It was just like the whole process, opening up the boxes and seeing what they were, and then
like trading.
You stole my deck from me, and I wanted to play this, and then we traded at the end.
Yeah.
And I think about at the end of that game when I saw like how I was gonna be able to just manipulate the extra turn spell.
That was disgusting.
And it still makes me laugh.
That was gross.
We didn't know what these decks did, and so I draw this card, and I'm like, oh my
no.
gosh!
Oh no!
Who put that in there?
I'm just gonna win now.
Can't imagine.
It was just so much fun, and that is one thing I for sure want to do again. I definitely want to do another Secret Santa game.
Yeah, so the Christmas episode was White Elephant, and Preston made all the decks, and he gave them, and we got to trade for them and stuff like that. We are doing another Christmas episode in season 2, but we're actually going to do Secret Santa, so we're going to draw a name, and whoever's name you draw, you have to build a deck for them. I think it'll still have a lot of that same pizzazz, but it'll be a little bit different. But
whoever gets Steven, if you don't make him a mono white deck, you don't care about the channel. You don't care.
Must build Steven a mono white deck.
My favorite theme though was the random 2-color pairing. That was a lot of fun. Cause and it worked out in my favor because I got Rakdos, and that was a color pairing that I had never played before, never built before, and I was really excited to do it. I love the randomness to it. I love just spinning the wheel and not knowing what you're gonna have to do and be like, okay, I'm gonna have to make this work. That was probably my favorite theme. As far as themes I don't want to see again, I mean, I love playing Magic. There
wasn't like a theme that you were like, that was miserable, please never make me do that again?
No. I mean, I guess...
Were there any games that you didn't play in that you were like, man, I'm glad I wasn't in that game?
I don't want to do Tribal, really.
Okay.
Tribal's just... We've done it.
Everyone's done it.
And everyone's done it. And, I just... Not really here for Tribal again. But if we do it, I'm not going to be upset. I'll play it. I'll build a deck.
If we keep doing seasons, I think we should have that there every once in a while. But it doesn't
of course, I'm not saying never play Tribal ever again.
Yeah, I will say that we haven't 100% decided what season 2 is going to be, but it looks like that there's a kind of Tribal game, but it's not like Tribal in a traditional sense. You'll just have to wait and see what I mean by that. But what about you, Preston?
I did love the Christmas week. Building all those decks and seeing everyone's reaction to them was obviously great. I made 4 decks. Everyone seems to have loved it, so that makes me feel good about myself. I did a good job.
For sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I hated the random week, the game, and the deck.
But was that more of just that you didn't like the color pair you got there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But the experience was already...
I like doing the random ones. I want us to do more random ones in the future. It just so happens in that one scenario, I got shafted a little bit.
What about you, Tommy? Did you have a favorite game, or did you have a least favorite game, or a theme that you're like, man, I'm glad I wasn't in that game?
I mean, not really. I've said this before on the channel. I'm much newer to Commander and to Magic in general than basically everyone else. So I'm always like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know that's a thing in Commander. But as far as favorite games, again, the Christmas episode, that was just a banger. That was fun. It was so fun.
That's gonna go down in history as the best episode.
Oh yeah,
it's so good.
It's such a fun game.
If it's not my favorite, it's at least in my top 3.
I really liked playing when we all played your decks, Morgan.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's an interesting thing to look at of, okay, how do, obviously we've played Magic with you, so we kind of know how a lot of your decks work and how you play Magic, but how the rest of us would play a deck that you built that we didn't necessarily know a lot about is just a cool, kind of interesting thing. And so if we do something like that again, where we do like Preston's decks or something, that'd be really fun. I like that idea.
Yes, and we are doing something very similar in Season 2. And we do have a couple random episodes that are going to appear in between the seasons, just so you guys don't have to wait so long. Maybe one of those episodes is kind of like that too. Any last thoughts on season? Make sure that's the last slide. Oh, any other things that you guys want to keep track of if we do a video like this at the end of Season 2? Is there another statistic you would want me to keep track of?
I would like to keep track of who plays their commander first the most and how often that player wins the game.
That would be good to know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. And then I wonder if there's like a trend like, if you cast your commander more than, say, 3 times from the command zone, how does that affect your win percentage? Do you win more the longer, like the less you cast your commander, like they stay on the battlefield longer? Do you win more that way, or is it not affected at all based on how many times you play your commander? I think keeping track of some of those commander stats would be cool.
That would be cool. My guess, without obviously having kept track of that, my guess is the more times you cast your commander, you're probably not winning as much, because that's so much extra mana you're spending on commander tax to keep constantly bringing your commander back, which is mana you could have been spending to be doing other things. So my guess is that it hurts your win percentage, but I don't know. What about Preston and Tommy? Do you guys have any thing else you would want me to keep track of?
I don't know if it's feasible, but it would be cool to keep track of how many deals everyone makes. And like how successful they kind of work out with people.
Yeah.
I have no idea if I could realistically, because
I don't
sometimes
think
they're
it's
so
realistic.
vague. Sometimes
Yeah.
they're so vague.
Yeah.
But that would be fun if I can. Maybe I'll try.
Just to get a general sense of who likes politicking
Who seems
more.
to be the most politicky player?
Yeah. I think that'd be
That
cool.
I should be able to figure.
That would be cool.
Who
I think.
tries negotiating the most? That I should be able to
Maybe who dies first the most?
That might be
Maybe who gets eliminated first the most? Who do we feel like is the threat at the table?
I feel like that's
most
not
of the
me
time.
though, Preston, because I'm never a threat. Usually we try to take
but
out the
you're just
threat first.
Yeah, but you're just an open puncher.
But I'm the
Yeah,
easy
you
target.
really are
So it's
just
like,
kinda
it's
standing
like on
there.
one hand I'm the easy target, on the other hand I'm not a threat. So like,
You're the
Like,
best lightning rod we know.
yeah, exactly.
Tommy, I love you, and I'm really happy that you play in our group, but when we're sitting at the Magic table, it's like you have such a punchable face.
I know,
just
yeah.
want to throw everything at
Oh, I
half
know.
of you.
I trust me. I know. I've been on the receiving end of it. So
Tommy, is there any other statistic you would want me to keep track of?
not that I can think of.
Okay.
Just definitely the idea of like tracking stuff about the commander stats more, I think would be really good. But
I'll turn it over to you guys, the viewers. Leave comments. Are there any episodes that you for sure want to see returned? Are there any themes that you don't care for as much? Are there other statistics that you are wanting us to keep track of for this wrap-up video at the end of Season 2? Statistically, this is probably going to get about a quarter as many views as our other videos, but you guys are the core fans, and you guys matter the most, so your opinions matter. Drop them in the comments. We love you guys very much. We appreciate your support. If you have not checked out all of the other episodes, this is a great opportunity to do it. You have plenty of time before Season 2 comes around. So go catch up on our other games and stick around. We have other stuff coming out over the summer. Again, we have our Magic Online series and our Spell Table series that by the time this video comes out, I think they will have started. And you guys can get involved in those. Head over to Patreon, get in to our Discord. That's the best way to do that. In order to make sure we keep doing this past Season 2 even, we're really going to need the community support, so make sure you are sharing us with your friends and getting them excited about Commander and Magic and all that fun jazz.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for the support. We really appreciate it.
Much love. Adios.
Bye.